Years ago, I had two avenues open to me. One was the legal field, and I also had an interest in the property field. But the barriers to entry into the legal field back then were quite steep. And of course, I didn't apply myself tremendously at school. I was more interested in girls and playing sport. So I didn't get the necessary points for university. And as a consequence, I went and fell into the property game almost by accident. Through a common person, a connection that I knew, and then started my career in property valuation. And I stuck with it because it's enabled me to apply whatever interest I have in the legal field as it relates to property, because there is so much that is related to property, legally speaking, and because I have an interest in that side, it just ties in with property as well. I would pay tribute to one gentleman and one gentleman alone. He's a dear old man now. His name is John Cameron. John was my third manager in my career, or my second manager in my career in property valuation. And he did a tremendous amount, stood off a tremendous amount of time in training me up as a young budding candidate valuer. And once he felt I was ready, he let me go and allowed me to do my own thing, and with the only proviso, Pat, don't mess it up. But he knew I was hungry, he knew I was eager to learn and to develop myself further, and he supported that 100%. And he taught me a tremendous amount about leadership qualities in people and how to best lead people, how to best attract and retain good quality talent. I was tasked, instructed in fact, many years ago to go and undertake the valuation of an adult sex shop, which I might be a bit of a prude in that regard. I walked in, I think I was desperately red-faced when I did. And I asked the gentleman inside the shop, after having a look around and measuring, what was further down the passage, and he said, no, those are the private rooms, but you're not allowed to go into them. And I think you can understand why. The single biggest mistake, look, there'll be a number of them, but the single biggest mistake is your job as a valuer is to conduct a due diligence. So the information that you are given, you have to acid test, you have to interrogate, because it's your responsibility to your client to make certain that whatever you're putting down in your document is accurate and correct, and that you advise them most accurately about their asset and about the value of their asset, the risks in their asset, all the problems facing their asset. In fact, even the longevity that the asset may have. So valuers make the mistake often of just taking the information that they get and applying it verbatim. You can't do that. If you do that, the client doesn't need you. He can do it himself. So you have to interrogate that information and articulate that information into your report accurately, and it must flow, make a great deal of sense, so that it steers you to value at the end of the day. Every property valuer needs to live in their profession. You can't merely see property valuation as a means to an end. And please don't ever come to me and say that you have a passion for property valuation. No, you don't. You've got to live and breathe property valuation and the greater property environment, which incorporates not only the small environment that you work in, it incorporates the greater environment, it incorporates the economy of a country, and it incorporates the economy of the world, how it impacts on our environment. So I often say to young and budding valuers, you have to live in your profession, because that's the only way that you're going to be able to provide a holistic and comprehensive service to your client. So for me, what has been quite a significant change is the move away in the listed fund space from property unit trusts and property loan stocks into the standalone property real estate investment trusts. And what that has showed me is that commercial property has become a lot more sophisticated, and the requirements from investors have become a lot more sophisticated. And then further to that, it is also showing me how the world economy impacts on our economy and how it impacts on these listed funds. So the nature of what we provide as a service to our clients therefore means we don't just pin a number today and say, well, that's the end of it, and we walk away. We've got to start thinking beyond the box, completely out of the box, in fact, as far as values are concerned, to advising our clients on their assets and how those assets will perform in the short to medium term or the medium to long term. And that's required from us as professionals and experts in our field. Biggest risks facing the property valuation profession are unscrupulous valuers who are not well studied and have not gone through the institutes, the South African Institute of Valuers Mentorship Program, for instance, where you've got practicing professionals imparting knowledge all the time, and guiding young valuers on the pitfalls of taking shortcuts, the importance of a full due diligence and acid testing the information that is there. If we do not do that as a profession and make ourselves relevant in an ever-changing environment, then technology will take over. There's always the risk of technology, but one must understand that technology can be harnessed. It can never take away the feel that a seasoned and educated valuer has for property. It can never. And that's where the art of property valuation comes in. Do it. It's a great environment to be in. It's a wonderful dynamic field to be in. It changes all the time. And it's a very alive profession to be in the sense that you're working with a commodity or an asset that is going to undertake so many changes in its lifespan. It's going to be subject to so many pull and push forces in the economy and the world economy for that matter. So it's an extremely dynamic asset to work with. But if you're going to get involved, understand that it might make you wealthy or it won't. But it's got to be a dedicated focus, because you're dealing with important assets that rank very high in the person for whom you're doing the valuation. It ranks very high in their lives. You're dealing with their assets here, and they're not just little assets. Whether it's somebody's pristine house or it's somebody's great big property portfolio.